The successful marketing of a property does not only rest with a real estate agent. This is according to Fine & Country Chief Executive Linda Erasmus. I sat down with Linda to find out more. Linda, welcome to All About Property.
Thank you for the invitation.
So Linda, what is the first thing that the seller can do that will really help drive the whole marketing process?
So the seller needs to take into account that the person or the marketing person that he instructs to sell the property will have to turn his home into a bestseller. So think display and think what will be easy on the eye. And then the second thing is sharing information. We live in the information age, and of course the buyers, they want to see proper information. We are here at the Chartwell Castle today, near Fourways. So here you can run a business from, it is currently run as a business, and if you sell it as such, then you need all the information, accounting documents, everything to entice the potential purchaser into buying this property. You can't be vague about information.
Now, obviously, when you put your property on the market, there's a whole lot of things to fix. And the seller don't always have the time or the money in some instances to fix every little thing in and around the home. What can they legally leave out without having to consider fixing?
In certain circumstances, the sellers don't always have the money to fix.
Yes.
And then there's only one word that jumps out: disclose. So if you haven't got the money to fix it, and you know about something that is not working, then you've got to disclose, because you're going to end up in a contractual relationship.
Okay.
But you must also understand that there are properties, we deal with actually properties in upmarket suburbs where the owners have been overseas, the property was rented out for many years, so the owner doesn't come back and look at it, so the property is really neglected. But then you've got, if you think again about displaying it, you've got to share the information. So because there are a lot of buyers that says, you know what, I actually want to buy a property that I can fix up to my own way of living, and I'm looking specifically for that. And then the agent will just package it and focus on that type of buyer. But the golden rule here is disclosure.
Now, Linda, just on that note, the example that you used with the owner perhaps not living in the property, haven't seen the property in a while, how would he then disclose or know what to disclose about that property?
It's a simple disclosure, and it's a small contractual issue in your contract, and that is just simply saying in the contract it is recorded that the seller hasn't lived in this property for X amount, and the buyer actually take note thereof. It all, when it comes to display, is, do I get what I pay for? And if there's consensus that I understand that, the property is neglected, then there's no little arguments
and expectations
and court cases at the end of such a transaction.
Now, Linda, just to help the seller prioritize, what are some of the main items that needs fixing, and what are some of the smaller items?
If you say there's an alarm in the house, then the alarm must be in working order.
Okay.
So, if there's a door that's leading outside, you assume there's a key for the door. So those kind of things are first and foremost important for the seller to go through the property and see that his pool pump is working, the electrical things are working, because there's almost a silent exception that these kind of things will be there.
Yes. So, Linda, when it comes to show days and photo shoots, do you have any presentation tips for the seller?
It all boils down to how we tell the story to the world. And of course, we use photos and script. So when it comes to photography, there's a time of the day when you can get a certain angle of the home that will just looks better because of the light. So photographers might have to come back to take the front of the house in the morning and come back late afternoon to get the sun from another angle.
Yes.
So photography is very important, and there's a cost to good photographers, but it is worth the agent who must do the promotion on behalf of the seller, and it's worth for the seller to prepare his home for display and ensure that we spend time and money on the photography. And then the next thing is telling the story. It's not everybody that can tell a story. And although the agent needs to go out there and package the script and the photos to send it to the market and interact with clients, there is a professional that can write the story. And you've got to touch the imagination of the buyer when they read the story. So there's a whole package and a whole story which you need to take to the heart of the buyer to get his response.
Which brings me to my next point. The seller is not always available for viewings. He might be at work out of town, and viewings can take place anytime during the day. How would the real estate agent and the seller work around that?
Having the house on display all the time becomes a problem. So it's an agreement between the agent understanding when to bring people. But the moral of the story is, if you want to sell your home, you've got to live a little bit where you put your home on display. And that is why nobody wants their home to be on display for a period of 2 years. You want to do the right things to attract a buyer in a reasonable period of time so that you can have a sale if you decide to sell.
Linda, just in closing, do you have any last thoughts or advice or guidelines for sellers around the marketing of their properties?
Develop buyers' eyes. Turn away from being a seller and just think if you will buy your home for the price that it's advertised. And secondly, study decor and architectural trends, because that will keep you up to date to what people are buying today. And then you must remember that you have got a second-hand home. That home will compete with new homes on the market. So you have got to add value that a potential buyer can actually see that there's value in an established garden. Because new homes, they're going to still have to pay for a garden. It takes years for trees to grow. So show that there's added value when they buy your second-hand home. And turn your home into a bestseller from day one. Don't just test the market and then try and change the news that you already have sent out. Turn it into a bestseller from day one.
Linda, thank you so much. It's always so insightful chatting to you. Thank you very much.
An absolute pleasure.